and welcome to Gardening Australia. I'm on top of the world, but more on that a bit later. Here's what's coming up on this week's show. Tino explains how to keep your plants in top shape, giving us a masterclass in pruning. Jane meets an ingenious gardener to have a look at his brilliant growing system. And John's in country Victoria to meet another of Australia's top landscape designers. But first up, let's head over to Josh, who's just bursting to get into planting his winter veggies.
It's been years since I've had the luxury of a big veggie garden, and here I've got 20 square metres across 5 beds for crop rotation. But still, I've got to be smart about how I stagger my crops for maximum productivity. First, I'm pulling out these eggplants still left over from summer to make some room for the new winter varieties. Next, I'll pull aside the drip line. You can see that I'm just gently taking this surface mulch off. And the reason for that is being sort of late autumn, winter, the mulch isn't as important for keeping moisture in the soil because the evaporation rate's really low. But by taking the mulch off, I'm less likely to get slater attack on the new plants as they pop out of the soil. And of course, as the weather gets dry into spring and summer, the mulch goes back on top. Lay down compost, pelletised manure, and rock minerals. Then I'll level the soil off and put the drip irrigation back in place, securing it with a couple of pins. Right, I'm ready to plant. Planting garlic is dead easy. All you have to do is plant it pointy side up and push it into the soil about the depth of the clove itself, backfill, and space them about 30 centimetres apart. In the bed next door, I've got some late in the season cherry tomatoes. They just keep on giving, so I've left one row in and I've pulled the other row out. And I'm going to make the most of the existing trellis by growing some snow peas on it. But to make sure they can climb up properly, I'm going to weave this mesh sort of around the existing posts, which will be terrific to get the snow peas up and away. Now, I've prepared the soil underneath in the same way I did for the garlic next door. All I have to do is secure that and plant the peas. I'm running a broad furrow underneath the trellis. I'll tamp that down gently before sowing the seeds at about 5 centimetres apart, and then just lightly cover with a couple of centimetres of soil and then water in. These guys will germinate in about 7 days, and the kids will be picking them in about 8 to 10 weeks. Next, it's bud time. This variety is called Delaware. Nothing super adventurous, but a good, reliable, high-yielding, multi-purpose potato for Perth. And very importantly, these are certified, disease-free seed potatoes. Here, I've already prepared the soil, again with some compost and organic fertiliser, and blended that through. So it's just a matter of taking the drip line out of the way, digging a couple of trenches, about 250 millimetres deep, placing the spuds about 50 centimetres apart down the row, and noting that the rows are about 1 metre apart. Now I'll backfill with about 75 millimetres of soil, and as the spuds start to shoot and grow up, I'll backfill those trenches, building the soil up around those shoots, which means I'll get plenty of stem tubers setting off the plants. And that means lots of spuds. In the 4th bed, it's foliage crops, and I've already got some celery and rainbow chard. Now, these are what I call continual picking crops, and they'll grow for months, and I can pick stems and leaves over this whole period. Right alongside, I'm going to plant some broccolini or bunting broccoli. And then lastly, to fill in the gaps, some quick-growing open-hearted lettuce and Asian greens, which will be ready to crop in as little as 6 weeks from planting as seedlings. And I'm planting this in the same kind of prepared soil, compost, pelletised manure, rock minerals, and just regular water. Even the chooks are excited about it. And as for bed number 5, well, there's no work to do here today. It's planted with sweet potatoes, and I reckon the tubers are still a good 4 to 6 weeks away for being ready to be harvested. What is interesting is how I've managed this bed. I planted the sweet potatoes as slips, as well as beans on these teepee poles at the same time earlier on in the summer. And they both took off. But what happened was I had beans growing up these teepees, and I picked those over a number of weeks. And when they finished up, the sweet potatoes have really filled up and they've fed off the nitrogen nodules on the roots of these beans. Now, when I do harvest these sweet spuds, I reckon there'll be 20 to 30 kilos of tubers, which of course will last for many, many months. So all up, it's a great use of space and of my time and energy.
And now to Jane, who's with a really smart gardener on Victoria's west coast.
There's something quite tranquil and calming about an aquaponics system. Fish and plants growing together in a mutually beneficial way. The fish produce nitrogen for the plants, which in turn clean the water for the fish. It's a harmoniously balanced environment. A leisurely 2-hour drive southwest of Melbourne, in the picturesque Pennyroyal Valley, is the sustainable food farm that Peng built. Gosh, Peng, this is bigger than I thought.
Yes, it's big. It took me 12 months to complete the entire project.
And hot, I can
yes,
feel
yes,
it.
yes.
Ooh.
Let me have a look. Oh, okay, it's nearly 50 degrees now.
It feels like a sauna, I can only
yes,
tell you.
yes.
Oh, boy, but things are growing very well.
Yeah.
Wow. And this is the growing medium?
Yeah, nothing else.
Yeah.
Just gravels.
Tell me a little bit about the system. I understand that it's a cycle, but just go through it.
Okay, we feed the fish, then the fish will generate waste. We pump the nutrient-rich water into the grow bed, okay? Once the water into the grow bed, the bacteria in the grow bed will break down the nutrients to feed the crops. By the time the water comes out of the grow bed, return to the water tank, the water becomes very clean. So the fish will be happy and healthy.
But it does take a little while for the bacteria to start to work with the gravel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you set up this entire system and start to circulate the water, you need about up to 6 months to have the entire grow beds colonized by all those beneficial bacteria.
And you would never have to feed any of these plants with any other fertilizer?
No. If the system is matured, you don't need to feed anything else apart from trace elements. Sometimes you have iron deficiency, so you add a bit of chelated iron to balance the system. That will do the job.
What kind of fish have you chosen?
I have chosen 2 major types. One is Australian native catfish, is tendinous, is eel-tailed catfish. Another one is the common goldfish.
Common goldfish,
Yes.
like you have in a fish tank?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, the common goldfish, you can have different type. The one I choose is called comet. So it's actually edible, surprising. It's quite delicious, and they can produce a large amount of nutrients compared to other type of fish.
It is amazing the range of plants that are grown in Peng's glasshouse. This is a whole bed of watercress.
Yes. You see,
Wow.
watercress do not need grow in water. It still can grow very well in this environment.
Oh,
Yes.
and I love the tangy flavour.
Yes, and I recently have learned that they have a very active, strong medicinal property fighting cancer, according to research done by universities in England. So normally in Western cuisine, they only need a few leaves for garnishing.
Yeah.
But I prefer you cook them as vegetables,
Okay. What, as a soup?
as soup. Yeah.
Ah. Peng, this is interesting. That's got a leaf a little bit like a sweet potato.
Yes, indeed. It is called mountain potatoes, and also they call them yam. So the way I grow them is to bury a section of PVC pipe horizontally underneath the gravel. and put the tube inside of this pipe.
Ah.
So the vine grows up and the tube grows along the side of the pipe. So by the time the vine dies out, I lift up the tube and pull the mountain potatoes out.
Oh, beautiful. I've never heard of a mountain potato. That sounds wonderful.
Yes, very nice, what do you call it? Root vegetable. Okay, it tastes like, crunchy as wood chestnuts. This is my pride. You have a look here. See how gorgeous it is. Wow. And you have noticed the plant itself is not that big, but it continuously, give you fruit.
Well, each little bush has probably got 3 or 4 eggplant on.
Yes, yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes,
so that shows you just how productive they are.
Indeed. And it just gives you such a satisfaction. Every time you come here, you see the fruit. And you share your life experience with them.
You're very proud.
Yes, indeed. This is my passion. Yeah. I just cannot get enough of this.
Well, are you going to do more?
Yes, I accumulated enough experience and confidence. I'm going to, make another one, larger one. So make it a proper small business for my retirement.
I'm in the heart of King's Cross in Sydney to check out the Wayside Chapel. It's a famous community centre that's been helping people through tough times for the last 50 years.
In all of that time, we offer love and support to all of the members in our local community. Our community is an interesting community. The most wealthy people and the poorest people are sleeping on their doorsteps. So we welcome all of those people.
Every week, about 2,000 people walk through the doors for all kinds of reasons.
There's lots of things going on here 7 days a week. So first off, a low-cost meal. They can also get a shower or change of clothes, something like that. They can have some care coordination if they have some issues that need some extra support with. It's just such a safe place for people to be.
While there's plenty going on at ground level, 4 stories up, there's something quite unexpected, a rooftop garden. Here we go. Quite an amazing space. I like it.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. How big is the area?
150 square metres.
What number of pots have you got scattered around
There are
here?
32 500-litre pots. So this building was built specifically to take the garden on the rooftop. So that was one of the considerations for the weight that it had to hold when it was designed.
How are we going so far?
That's lovely.
All right, we probably want to go down and get some...
So what actually happens with any of the produce that you harvest from the garden?
Oh, we love to eat it all, and we take it from the garden, we use it downstairs in our kitchens. We make about 10,000 meals to serve from our low-cost cafe every month. And we also have lots of living skills programs. So people who are participants in the programs have cooking classes and they make soup for the cafe, and there's also a TAFE course where young people are learning kitchen skills.
Flipping on the burner. Yeah, like that. Beautiful.
Wendy, tell me a little bit about the layout of the garden.
In this part of the garden we have lots of herbs, and we try to plant some larger plants that will create some coverage from some of that hot sun. Lots and lots of basil in this one, all different kinds of basil, and some parsley and lemongrass.
I noticed the Greek basil here. That's straight out of the Greek backyards of my childhood. That's beautiful. I know that smell.
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean, the fragrances as you walk past most of these pots are amazing. Yeah.
And I mean, the perennial basil, the bush basil, I mean, that flowers almost all the year, which is perfect.
Great for the bees.
Yeah, perfect for your bees.
Yeah.
And your canopy tree here, I see you've got an avocado.
Yep. And underneath it we have some pineapple sage.
Oh, I love pineapple sage. You get the little flower and suck the nectar.
Really?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Try it.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Wendy, there's no shortage of herbs here in the garden, but I see you've got some citrus as well.
Yeah, this is our Eureka lemon here. We have a Valencia orange over there in the corner, and behind us a lime, Tahitian lime tree.
They're all at different stages.
But they were all the same size when they first went in.
So you can see that the one out there on the end is really getting a belting from the wind.
Yeah.
This one's sort of in between because it's still getting it from around the building. And then the protection there, the lime is thriving.
Just flourishing there.
This is an amazingly productive garden that's making a big difference to the people who come up here to enjoy, care for and use it. What do you like about coming up here and working in the garden?
It's fulfilling. Before I came here to the chapel, I was living on the trains for about 6 months. And life can be pretty hard on the train. What the chapel has given me is giving me a fulfilment of life. And I've been able to transform this into looking after these vegetables.
You can be planting on your own or you can be watering on your own, and that's really calming that you're doing it together, so you'll have someone near you doing something else and someone else near you, and it's great that it makes you really proud of this garden because together we're all taking care of it.
They love coming up here, and we love seeing them flourish just like the garden that they're looking after.
Now, pruning is one of the essentials of good growing. Here's Tino with some great tips.
It's coming into winter, and everywhere I look, I can see plants that will respond well to a good prune. Some for strength and shape, some for flowers and fruiting. Now, pruning seems to be one of those daunting tasks for many gardeners, but once you've learnt the art, it's the most pleasurable. And plants love being cut back. This beautiful quince tree produces a bumper crop year after year. But a lot of these fruiting deciduous trees also produce this long whippy growth, which draws energy out of the tree, which I want to redirect into ripening these beautiful fragrant fruit. So I'm going to do this by taking this back to a good growth point. Just like that. Now, I've just got to do the rest of the tree. The approach to pruning all plants is to ask 2 questions. Why and when? Why are we doing it? What benefits do we want to receive from the plant? And when? What is the best seasonal time? And therefore, how will the plant respond? Now, that's all the straggly growth gone. Not only have I improved the productivity of the tree, it also looks a lot better as well. When it comes to citrus, like this cafe lime here, you just want to take the lower growth off. It's called raising the skirt of the tree. It allows good airflow underneath, but the thing with citrus is you don't want to cut them too hard at this time of the year. That'll promote new tender growth that probably won't last the winter. After appreciating the flowers of a plant, it's time to deadhead. This flower here has started to produce seed. Now, it takes a lot of energy for the plant to do this. So by deadheading, you're redirecting the energy into the plant's growth. Now, unless you want to collect the seed, this applies to all flowering plants in the garden. Most evergreens will have just finished their autumn growth spurt, so now's a great time to clip them back into a shape they're going to keep for the rest of the winter while the growth is slow. Don't do this in spring, as it will only encourage new growth that will need trimming again in a matter of weeks. Every plant has a hormone in its tips that tells it to grow up. This is referred to as apical dominance. Now, all this means if I take the lower shoots off, I'll promote more growth up top. Alternatively, if I prune the top out, the plant will grow bushier. Now, this beautiful Luma apiculata here is a very popular hedging plant. But this one has been standardised with the branches stripped to reveal this beautiful, smooth, coppery bark and to create a lovely canopy above. Well, that's looking a lot better. So if you're pruning for appearance or productivity, if you follow the when, why and how, there's nothing to fear and you'll get the best out of every plant in your garden. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.
Let's head to John now, who's meeting another one of Australia's leading landscape designers.
Michael McCoy is a garden designer, author and passionate plantsman, and he's going to show me a garden he's created for a client in a rural area just outside Wood End, about an hour northwest of Melbourne. But at first glance, there doesn't seem to be a great deal here.
With a view that big and architecture as minimal as this, then there's not a lot you can do garden-wise. You've really got to let the view do its thing.
But if you've been involved in this, my hunch is there's much more to it than just the rock and the house and the view.
Well, it was about finding some space that already had a sense of containment, but that was visually disconnected from the house. You know, when you're working with plants of this scale and you're at an open paddock, you'd have to have acres of them. So we needed to find a place that already had a smaller sense of scale. So found a place that's a natural bowl indicated by the trees.
Yeah, well, the trees contain it to a degree. It's a bit like an 18th century English park, isn't it? Where you have the wall gone with the flowers and then the park elsewhere and they didn't disturb each other.
Well, that was exactly the idea.
And I noted a nice little view from the driveway as you come in.
Yeah, there's beautiful little sight lines going off into this right to the horizon in almost every direction.
Now, you've used a lot of gravel. It's got a wonderful informal character.
Yes, and just allows the edges to diffuse. There's no distinct line between the planting and the paving.
This ash really is a star, isn't it, this time of the year, because it sets that lovely autumnal character.
As background, you can't beat it. I mean, there's some maples as well around the place, just echoing that colour and stretching it out, yeah.
It seems to me you like to do gardens which have a sort of late summer quality about them.
Well, gardening in cooler climates like this, really there's not a lot of point to having early spring peak when you can't be outside enjoying it. You really want to be outdoors in your garden in summer, late summer through to early autumn, so why not have your peak then? And also when you're working with perennials, because most perennials in decay are not particularly attractive, the later you can time their flowering in any growing season, the more you minimise that decay phase.
The sedum, the grasses, the euphorbias, I mean, even to a degree, the perovskias and so on, they've got real quality as they decline. They're not plants where you just look at them and say, get rid of them, they've finished.
This is the way perennials, of course, are being used worldwide now. It's all about textures and forms and seed heads as well, that the old ideas of staking flowers have all gone. It's all about things that look good pre-flowering, during flowering and post-flowering right through into decay.
Now, one of the lessons I learned from here, Michael, just looking at this garden, is the importance of repetition. You've got this marvellous stiper. I mean, it's finished, all you've got are these lovely dead heads, but its repetition is an important part of this, isn't it?
Totally. That idea of kind of echoing something so that wherever you stand, it's disappearing off into the distance. And the stiper definitely needs to be used as an individual, whereas most of the plants here are used in big clumps.
I just love those verbascums. You haven't repeated them a lot. There's one up there. There's this fantastic one growing at a lean here. And they seem to me to bring a little bit of, well, sort of looseness and a little bit of personality to the garden, so it's not entirely predictable.
That's right. Yeah, there's something very powerful about setting up a pattern and then disrupting it.
Yeah.
And that's what they do.
And now you also love form. I suspect that's one of the reasons why Miscanthus is here, but form in your planting is really important.
Absolutely. What I need at all times in a situation like this, I need to have something that's providing me with that vertical line, something that's providing me with that recumbent solidity, and something that's crawling along at ground level. And as long as you're thinking in those three categories all the time, you almost can't go wrong as long as you're combining those three things.
Michael, one of the plants I noticed you use a lot is the Miscanthus. There are gardens where you've used them in enormous numbers.
There are gardens where I've used them in the thousands.
Thousands.
There's fantastic seasonal quality of that rising tide around your feet right up to head height, absolutely engulfing you in the height of summer.
Yeah.
And then the sort of crash down over late winter and into early spring when you cut them down. So there's a wonderful seasonal variation, not just in how they look, but how they feel to be amongst.
So, Michael, how would you briefly encapsulate your overall garden design philosophy?
Well, I guess fundamentally I feel like gardens succeed or fail on how well they handle or manipulate space. And so whilst it looks like in here my whole passion is about plants, really the only reason why we can use this amount of decoration is because this space was already defined for us by the trees around us. So what I want to do is feel good in the space, and it needs to feel right first before any of this decoration can make sense. So I love playing with plants, but primarily it's about how well the spaces are manipulated.
What an inspirational garden this is overlooking Sydney. And it goes to show that you can certainly grow food and friendships anywhere. Now that's it for this week, but here's a taste of what you can expect on next week's show. Jane visits an immense garden in central Victoria, created as a celebration of nature and horticulture.
And what was here when you came?
Just a paddock.
Tina will be showing us how to protect frost-tender plants over winter. And Angus will be exploring a garden planted with the intention of encouraging local wildlife. Until next week, enjoy your patch of perfection, wherever that might be. See ya.